ende patakasangana naTrump akatibvunza dhava komana mari yamuri kuda kuti nyika ifambe imari kafanana nekwenda kwakaita ana Biti vanachamisa nevamwe vachienda kuZimbabwe
kuti tinasine constitution echoyo kuti kona uma kupresident engeko mubano kufanele kuti act sava necongress eyaye.
Thank you so much once again for joining us here at Africa Today, broadcasted by Unique Africa Media Group, where we cover stories that are happening in Africa in terms of politics, the well-being of Africans. Thank you so much for your comments, your views on our previous episode. Today in the studio again, we have attorney at law, Mr. Nyasha Mapanzwe. Thank you so much, sir, once again for coming.
Wonderful to be here again.
It's a pleasure to always have you, sir, in the studio.
Pleasure is mine.
All right, sir, looking back at the story, the previous episode, we saw people were angry at some of your comments and your views. What's your take on that one?
Well, that's the nice thing about a democracy. A democracy, people can give their own views. And I was really taken aback by some of the views because they were not really comments. Some of them were just mere vulgar shoutings, which is one of the things which I highlighted, that the people who surround Nelson Chamisa have got a hooliganic approach to things, and they do not take care of their way they do things. They don't care about the language they use. They don't care about the violent acts they use. So if you go and see the last comments of people who made comments, some of them were totally ridiculous and outrageous. But anyhow, however, it's a democracy. Everyone is entitled to their own opinion.
Okay, thank you so much, Mr. Nyasha. But yes, let's go to today's stories, that issues that are happening right now. I believe most of you have seen this video on your social medias, even messages all over the social media of Webster Sham was found with ballot papers already voted. What's that?
Well, as you're rightly saying, it's an issue which I also saw on the media, that there were some ballot papers which had already been voted in his favor. Well, if that really did happen and it happened in a way, that is something which is which is very bad to the way politics should be done, and I cannot commend such kind of actions. And I'm sure it's been investigated by the proper people within the party ranks. But if such a thing has been happening, I believe it should come to an end, and the necessary action to be taken against such kind of acts. Because what those acts do, they begin to show a bad picture on the party, ZANU PF at large. But whereas it's just a single act of a single individual who's greedy for power, and such like people, the current government, especially speaking to His Excellency Nelson Mnangagwa, should be careful of such kind of people, because they've shown their nature that they do not belong to the new dispensation which Nelson Mnangagwa is looking for. Those people should be put away from the new era that Zimbabweans are looking forward to.
Okay, so, but I still need to understand this. Isn't it what he's just doing is just bringing the fruits of ZANU PF? Let's look at this. Isn't it the same ED was involved in the rigging previous elections?
Well, I don't know about rigging of previous elections, because the previous elections, ZANU PF won, and Robert Mugabe was then elected to be president. Whereas if they rigged, well, it is something that is still debatable in circles of politics, how the rigging was done and who rigged and so forth and so on. But remember, whenever there's an opposition, the opposition, when it loses, will always say they were rigged. Not only in Zimbabwean politics, also in Western politics, in China, everywhere, Asia, Europe. Every time there is an opposition and the opposition does not garner the support it wants or does not win the election, they will always cry to rigging. But talking about rigging, let me assure you that we want to avoid a situation like we had in Kenya, where we had Raila Odinga saying that the elections were rigged after he lost the elections, but only later on, after lives have been lost, to go and say, no, they are in unity with Kenyatta. Such kind of politics is very bad for the population of the people, to the civil people. So such kind of politics should be avoided in the Zimbabwe situation. When someone loses an election, it's high time that someone just says, I've lost, and goes ahead. Not say, no, I've not lost, and he goes and puts himself leader of the nation in a pseudo ceremony where he says he's now the president of the republic. Such kind of things should be avoided. But that is what I'm saying, the action and the way the opposition in every country deals with it. Opposition wants power. Everyone wants power. Everyone wants to rule.
And ZANU-PF doesn't want to give the power, to let go of the power. That's why, hence you are rigging, because we don't want to get to an era whereby we do a rerun like the last time, whereby people now they were, because rigging, it has got many ways of doing it. Because if you are going to come to my door with a gun, many people died the time 2007, 2008, that era. Then if you can address it that way, wasn't it part of the process of rigging elections?
No, you see, the process of rigging elections is usually a more technical one than a more action played type of rigging. The rigging that you are trying to talk about, it was not rigging. What happened is the constitution was very clear. It's very clear that one to then form a government should have 50 plus 1% in order to create government, and then we had 43 and 47% to the parties that were in close run to the elections, and none of them could have formed the government at that time. So ED, very clever as he is, then said the only way, and as it is in the law, it is time for a rerun, and the law, the constitution afforded the issue of a rerun. So it's not rigged. It is what the law says. It is what the people of Zimbabwe have said they want to see by expressing it in the constitution, which is the supreme law of the nation. And that is what ED did as a lawyer. He was quick to see it, and he said, no, this is an issue of a rerun. And in the rerun, it is fortunate enough for ZANU-PF then won, and the opposition still cried foul. ED, as a champion of democracy, was quick and able to highlight what the constitution was saying, and a rerun was done. And upon a rerun being done, ZANU-PF then won the election. So I wouldn't call that rigging.
Okay, but okay, ED, he's saying free and fair elections. Can you elaborate more about free and fair? Because after the history of ZANU-PF, isn't it going to repeat the same thing?
No, ED is saying it very clear, and it's a message that has been accepted world over. What do we mean by peaceful and free and credible elections? Peaceful means non-violent elections. Credible, it means that the results cannot be contested by each party that is involved. Each party has got a play in what is happening. Each party has got a hand in what is happening with the ballot boxes, with the ballot papers, and free and fair elections are monitored by other countries. In this case, ED has invited the United Nations, it has invited the European Union to come in and monitor the elections. Right now, as we are speaking, we've got the UN has already started its presence in Zimbabwe. America is there. The EU is already there. That is how elections are done, to see if they're credible. They have already started to look at the ground as it is, whether it is a fair ground, whether the ground is that of harmonious elections happening in that environment.
So are you telling me that if ED is to lose to Chamisa, is he just going to step down, or he's going to have to spill blood?
No, if he loses, he will have to stand down. That is democracy. That is what he's saying. That is what he's preaching. But look here, the system of elections which Zimbabwe is coming into is happening under the new dispensation, a new era. And this new era is an era of democracy. And should ED lose the elections, he has safely said they will vacate the presidency. But chances of them losing are very, very, very low.
Okay, if you say so, sir. But I want to find out something. What has ED done for Zimbabwe so far?
Well, since he's coming into president, first and foremost, ED is a champion of democracy in that he removed the tyrant rule of Robert Mugabe for the past 38 years. Yes, he was part of and parcel of Robert Mugabe's government, but he was under Robert Mugabe. And when he assumed the leadership, he wanted now to show his ideas as a leader, as a man, what he had always wanted to be there for the people of Zimbabwe. Now we saw, as we've highlighted in our previous appointments that we had with the viewers, that Zimbabwe now has got a new indigenization policy. Zimbabwe is now open for business. And now look, the issue of nurses, people were crying foul, saying Nelson Mnangagwa through Chiwenga had fired nurses. And they politicized the issue of nurses to a stage that the nurses were to be fired, because the issue of human life is a very important social issue, which the government wanted to highlight to the nurses. But now, what has ED done so far? He has now employed more nurses. Even those who had gone on strike have now been put back to their jobs. Not only that, they've now been given all their bonuses, which they've not been given since 2012. The nurses are happy.
That's because of ZANU. That's because of ZANU PF. They were not getting their money.
But I'm talking about the new I'm talking about the new dispensation of Nelson Mnangagwa. The nurses now are happy. The teachers are happy. The civil servants are happy. They've received their bonuses. Zimbabweans are smiling. Go and see them. Go and talk to them. They are very happy. They are very pleased at what Nelson Mnangagwa is doing. Look at the hotel industry. It has taken a rise of from 50% the first quarter of last year to now it's 80%, which means there's an increase of about 30% only in the hotel industry. That is commendable to the government of Nelson Mnangagwa.
Okay, sir. I want to touch something. I want to touch about diasporas. What is ED going to do about the people in diaspora? What's the plan for ED, the people in diaspora?
Since when Nelson Mnangagwa came into power, his voice and his vision for the people in the diaspora was that the people in the diaspora become involved in what is happening in Zimbabwe, become children of Zimbabwe again. He actually said he wanted them to vote. He wanted there to be a diasporan vote, so that the diasporans can be part and parcel of what's happening in the country. But the only reason why it is not going to happen in these forthcoming elections is simply because it has got a lot of logistics which have to be put on the ground before it can happen. It's a process which demands a lot of money, demands a lot of capital for it to be done in each and every place where Zimbabweans are. And in places where there are no Zimbabweans, you have to look for an embassy which you can then now use, which can be a place where Zimbabweans would vote. But ED has said it, like when he was in South Africa at the belated 38th independence anniversary, when Mukono Oshuro, the consul, said that it is there on paper that, and it is one of the things that ED wants to do. He wants to make sure that the diasporans begin to vote. The diasporan vote is there. And I know, and I'm very sure, since ED said it, is going to be one of the things which are going to be seen in the next elections which are going to happen in Zimbabwe.
Because Zimbabweans are waiting to vote. They want to vote in the diaspora. And people are scared that maybe ED won't let them vote, because definitely, do you think it will be ED's vote or Chamisa's vote? Be honest. I want you to be honest.
No, I'm honest about what? ED wants to be, he wants the diasporans to vote, and he's the one who's lobbying for the diasporan vote. But it's only unfortunate that the diasporans cannot vote now. But if you want to vote and you're in the diaspora, what do you have to do? You have to go to Zimbabwe and register to vote and be there at the time of elections and vote. You are very welcome to go and vote and express your views. It's only those who are on government duty, who are in the diaspora, who are allowed to vote. And if you are not on government duty, then you have to go home and register. For now, this is what it is, and this is what is on the ground. If you are in the diaspora and speaking to those people in the diaspora, if you want to go and vote, please, please, please go home and vote. It's your vote, it's your choice. And nobody's been refused to vote, and the voter system is there, and the elections are free and fair. There's no violence in Zimbabwe. There's no excuse of saying the reason why ZANU-PF won was because there was no diaspora vote. Please go and vote.
Okay. Thank you so much for clarifying that, sir. But as you answer for ZANU-PF, I have a question. That on the manifesto for ZANU-PF, ZANU-PF said they are going to build 1.5 billion houses in 5 years. Literally, that means 822, if I'm not mistaken, houses per day.
Well, first and foremost, I'm not the mouthpiece for ZANU-PF. I think ZANU-PF has got a lot of people who are its mouthpiece. But what do? I analyze things on the ground, and I see the politics and how it's happening. And so far, I'm seeing an upper hand on the way that ED and ZANU-PF are doing things. They look favorable on them. On the issue of houses, it is a possibility to have 1.5 billion houses built for the people of Zimbabwe, and it's something that is more real than bullet trains, as Chamisa would say it. This is the reality. 800 houses can be built in a day. Yes, they can be built. It depends what type of houses we are talking about. We are talking about.
I hope we're not talking about matches box houses.
No, we are talking about proper houses. Look here, in America, do you know the kind of houses they make? They do them from wood. They're not from concrete. In America, and you can build 900 houses per day in America.
So you're promising Zimbabwean wood houses?
No,
is that what you are saying? Or?
I'm saying if it were to be done that way, yes. The Chinese have done it in China. The Americans have done it in America. Why can't we do it in Zimbabwe? It can be done. It's been done, and people are living in these houses in America.
How is it going to be funded?
How is it going to be funded? The government is going to look for funds, obviously. This is a government project. It's been done by the government, and the government will have to source money to do this. That is where the West comes in. This is where a lot of investors come in. A lot of players who come in and chip in the economy of Zimbabwe, and then you see these things happening.
To build in 822 houses, as you have heard the law attorney, Mr. Nya, saying it can be wood houses. This is what ZANU-PF is promising, wood houses. Say, tell me, are the people going to buy the houses or they are going to be given?
Well, it's obviously something that the government is dealing with. The government is going to loan, create loan facilities where people get loans and pay for their houses, and it's just going to happen the same way people have been getting houses. People are going to be given on account of credit and on account of which area you're looking for, because it's going to be done all over Zimbabwe. And it depends what type of job you also do and what type of place you also want. So these things are going to be vetted on an individual basis, but for all Zimbabweans. That is the nature of this housing system. And I do not say they're going to be specifically wood houses, but I gave you an example of wooden houses in America that have been made 800,000 a day. It's possible. Even if you look at the houses in America that are made of wood, you wouldn't even tell that are made of wood. They are beautiful. We are all amazed at seeing them on television, but they are wood. If you go and see them at a Keza review, you see these are wooden houses.
Yeah.
So why not put them in Zimbabwe and have the Zimbabwean people sheltered? That is a good thing. So I'm really looking forward to the building of these houses by the government, and I'm sure it's one of the things it is going to start doing when it wins elections.
All right, sir. One last thing, sir, for this show today. What's your take? What's your opinion about the independent candidates?
Well, independents in their nature, they are people who want to do things on their own. They are people who believe that they have more power than a group. They believe that they can be heard as a single person. They believe that a crowd spoils their vibe, or a crowd deadens their vibe. They believe that they've got a message which only they can utter to the people. And that is the really one thing I find really crazy about being an independent candidate is you've got this selfish nature, selfish character. It's called this, being a selfish candidate, if you'd like. It's a selfish candidate. Someone who's got his own interests, his own things that he feels no one else should talk to him alone, and him alone should be heard. That is only the bad thing about these independent candidates. But well, they are there. Some of them have got good manifestos, some of them have got good ideas, some of them are very good politicians. Well, I believe and I hope, I know some of them are going to win, but people should know that inherently these people are selfish.
All right,
and
sir.
I warn them against.
Now I will cut you short for that one, sir. We will continue with this conversation on our next episode. Thank you so much once again, sir, for coming to the show.
Pleasure's mine.
Thank you so much, viewers, for your support, your comments, and your views. We appreciate it. My name is GK from Africa Today, broadcasted by Unique Africa Media Group. Thank you so much. If you think you have what it takes to come on this show and to stand for the other party, to support and to give your opinions and your views, you are more than welcome. Subscribe on our YouTube channel, send us your phone number, your email, we will get hold of you. Thank you so much, and God bless you.